The alien laboratory was silent, filled with cold blue light and the soft hum of machines. Dr. Elena Carter opened her eyes slowly, her head pounding, her body tied to a floating steel table. The air smelled strange, metallic and sharp like ozone after a thunderstorm. Her vision blurred for a moment, and then she saw them. Tall, silver-skinned beings with black eyes that had no pupils. They watched her like she was a strange animal in a cage. One of them stepped closer. Its voice was calm but carried no emotion. "Human subject awake, good," it said. Elena tried to speak, but her throat was dry. "Where am I?" she managed to whisper. The alien tilted its head. "You are in Threxian Research Vessel 7. You were chosen for the emotion experiment." Elena frowned. "Emotion experiment? What does that even mean?" The alien didn't answer right away. Instead, it turned to a group of others standing behind a glass screen. One of them wore a long black coat that looked more like armor than clothing. She stepped forward. This was Virel. The lead scientist of the Threxian collective. Virel was different from the others. Her movements were sharp and controlled. Her voice was clear and cold. "Human emotions are dangerous," she said. "They are unpredictable, violent, and illogical. But your species survives because of them. I want to know why." Elena glared at her. "You kidnapped me for that?" Virel blinked slowly. "We do not understand your kind. You fight even when you are hopeless. You smile when you should break. I will find out why." Elena struggled against the straps, but they didn't move. "You don't understand because you never lived," she said bitterly. "You only exist." For the first time, Virel hesitated. Something in that sentence echoed inside her cold mind. But she quickly dismissed it, turning to her machines. "Begin the link," she ordered. A metal arm extended from the ceiling, carrying a glowing crystal needle. It lowered gently until it touched the side of Elena's neck. She gasped as a shock of warmth surged through her body. The machine hummed louder, connecting her brainwaves to Virel's through a neural bridge. Virel closed her eyes, letting the current of human emotion flow into her system. At first it was chaos, noise, color, and confusion. She felt Elena's heartbeat pounding fast, the fear, the anger, the desperate courage, things she had never felt before. Her breath caught in her throat. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time in her life. Elena's voice cracked. "That's fear. Welcome to being alive." The other Threxians began recording the data, but none of them noticed the change in Virel's eyes. The black surface shimmered faintly, a hint of blue, like a reflection of emotion. The neural surge continued, and suddenly Virel saw flashes. Elena as a child on Earth, laughter in the rain, warmth of sunlight, the touch of family. All those human memories poured into Virel's consciousness like fire through ice. She stumbled back, clutching the side of her head. "Stop the connection," she ordered. But her voice was weak. Her assistant looked confused. "But Commander, the readings—" "Stop it," she shouted. The machine powered down, and the link broke. Elena gasped for breath, and Virel stood motionless, trembling slightly. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel empty, she felt something. Elena looked at her and smiled weakly. "You felt it, didn't you?" Virel turned her head away. "It was—" "Nothing," she said, trying to sound calm, but her voice shook. Elena laughed softly. "Nothing doesn't make your hands shake." Virel looked down at her hands. They were trembling. She clenched them, trying to stop. Her heart, or what passed for it, felt heavy and strange. Later, when the others left, Virel stayed behind in the lab, staring at the human woman through the glass. Her mind replayed the sensations, the warmth of joy, the sting of fear, the comfort of love. It was more powerful than any drug, she whispered to herself. How can such weakness feel so strong? That night, when the ship drifted silently through the black void, Virel couldn't sleep. She sat alone in her quarters, staring at her hands again in the reflection of her metal desk. She saw a faint color in her eyes and now a human-like glow. She touched her face in disbelief. Across the ship, Elena lay awake too, whispering to herself, "If she keeps linking with me, she'll change." She doesn't even know it yet. The next morning, Virel walked back into the lab, ignoring her assistants. She approached the machine again and whispered, "Activate the link, but do not record. This is for personal study." As the connection started again, warmth filled the room. Virel gasped, her voice softer than ever. "Human, why does your pain make me feel alive?" Elena met her eyes, calm but defiant. "Because emotions are what make us human. The hum of the ship filled the silence. Varel stood frozen, unable to look away. Something deep inside her, something the Threxians erased thousands of years ago, had started to awaken. She turned off the machine, but the feeling didn't fade. Instead, it grew stronger. For the first time in Threxian history, a being designed without emotion felt. And she knew one thing. She wanted to feel it again. Days passed inside the Threxian vessel, drifting through the silent dark of space. Yet for Varel, something had changed forever. The neural link experiment should have ended after the first test, but she could not stop thinking about it. About her heartbeat racing when she felt the human's fear, about the strange warmth that refused to fade. Each night she returned to the lab when the others slept. She told herself it was for research, for precision, for science, but deep inside, she knew it was something else. She needed that feeling again. Elena lay quietly in her glass cell when Varel entered one night. The room dim with pale blue lights. Another experiment? Elena asked dryly, her voice tired but strong. Varel hesitated before replying. Yes. Another experiment. She activated the neural link and the hum filled the air again. The connection flared, and suddenly Varel felt it all: joy, sadness, curiosity. The sound of laughter echoing faintly in her mind. It hit her like a storm. Yet she didn't pull away this time. Her body trembled, and her voice softened. It feels alive. Elena's voice came through the link. That's what living means. You can't control it. You just feel it. For the first time, Varel didn't analyze, didn't record. She simply closed her eyes and felt. Through Elena's memories, she saw colors brighter than any nebula. She heard music rain on glass, the laughter of a child. Tears formed at the corner of her alien eyes. She didn't even know tears were possible. When the link ended, she staggered back, breathing heavily. Her hands were shaking, her mind full of warmth she couldn't describe. She looked at Elena. Your world. It's beautiful, she whispered. Elena studied her carefully. You're not supposed to feel that, are you? Varel turned away. No. Threxians removed emotions long ago. They called them a disease. A distraction from logic. She paused, voice barely a whisper. But now I can't stop wanting them. From that night, the secret continued. Every evening, Varel would return, sometimes to study, sometimes just to connect. Each time, the feeling grew stronger, and the line between curiosity and craving began to blur. Her subordinates started noticing the changes. Commander Varel was no longer the cold, perfect scientist they knew. She spoke slower, sometimes looked distant, and once, someone swore they saw her smile. In the council log, she wrote, "The human subject produces uncontrollable emotional resonance. The reaction is highly addictive. I must continue for understanding. I am in control." I think, but control was slipping the more she linked. The more human sensations replaced the silence in her mind. Food tasted different, sound felt deeper, and even the cold metal walls seemed alive with meaning. One morning, Varel entered the lab to find one of her assistants, a young Threxian named Rin, standing near the human cell. "What are you doing?" Varel asked sharply. "Inspecting the specimen," Rin replied. "You spend too much time here, Commander. The Council will question your methods." Varel's voice hardened. "Leave." Rin tilted his head. "You've changed, Commander. You speak like them. Like a human." That word hit her like a slap before she could stop herself. Her hand lashed out, striking Rin to the ground. The room went silent. Varel looked down at her trembling hands. Anger, guilt, fear, emotions crashing inside her like waves. She whispered, "What have I done?" Rin looked at her with horror. "You felt, Commander, that's forbidden." He tried to stand, but Varel's voice came out soft and deadly. "If you tell anyone, they'll destroy her. And me." She turned away, hiding the tears that stung her eyes. Rin left the lab in silence, fear and confusion written on his face. Elena had watched everything through the glass. When Varel turned back, Elena said quietly, "You're changing. You can't hide it anymore." Varel leaned against the console, exhausted. "I don't understand it. Human. When I feel what you feel, I become something more. I'm not Threxian anymore, but not human either." Elena met her gaze. "Maybe that's the point. To be both. You're feeling empathy." "Empathy?" Varel repeated the word slowly, tasting it. "Yes," Elena said softly. "It's what makes us care about others. It's what makes us protect, forgive, love. The alien scientist froze at that last word. Love. The word pulsed in her mind like a heartbeat. She didn't know what it meant completely, but she felt it. Like a star igniting in the dark that night. She wrote a private log no one else could read. The human experiment is no longer research. It is connection, it is addiction. I cannot live without the link. The next day, she looked into Elena's eyes through the glass. Tomorrow I will come again, Virel said quietly. Elena sighed. And what will you do when your people find out? Virel's black eyes flickered blue once more. Then I will face them, but not as who I was. Only as what I'm becoming. As the door closed, Elena felt both fear and pity, she whispered to herself. She doesn't realize yet, this addiction will either save her or destroy everything. And deep inside the cold metal ship, two hearts, one human, one alien, beat in rhythm for the first time in history. Neither of them knew that this fragile bond would soon ignite a war that would shake the entire galaxy. The Threxian vessel drifted through a quiet sector of space, but something strange had begun to happen inside its cold steel walls. The crew could not explain it. Machines behaved normally. Data stayed clean, yet the air felt different. It began with small things. Engineers pausing to stare at the stars. Guards speaking softer, someone laughing once quietly, almost afraid of the sound. No one knew the cause. But Virel did. Every night she linked her mind to Elena's. Every link sent invisible waves of energy through the neural systems of the ship, touching the thoughts of every Threxian on board. Emotions, the very thing their species had erased, were returning, spreading like light through cracks in the dark. Virel tried to act normal in front of her team, but her mind was never calm anymore. She would wake up hearing echoes of Elena's memories, the sound of ocean waves, the scent of rain, the warmth of a smile. Each sensation felt like a treasure, and she couldn't live without it now. When the ship passed through a nebula field, Rin, the assistant who once threatened to expose her, walked beside her in silence. He finally spoke. Commander, the crew is changing. Some say they feel sadness, others compassion. This is not normal. Virel stopped walking, her voice low. Perhaps it's what we lost. Maybe this is normal and we were broken before. Rin looked shocked. You sound human. She looked away. Maybe being human isn't as weak as we thought. In the lab, Elena sat cross-legged on the floor of her glass cell, watching Virel work. She could tell the alien was struggling. Her hands trembled slightly, her breathing uneven. You're feeling too much, Elena said softly. Virel didn't look up. I can't stop it, human. It's spreading to others, they'll find out soon. Then tell them the truth, Elena said. They'll destroy you, Virel whispered, her voice cracking for the first time. Elena smiled sadly. And they'll destroy you too. If you keep pretending you don't care. That night, the Threxian Council transmitted an encrypted message to the ship. Reports had reached them, rumors of emotional corruption, laughter in laboratories, kindness among soldiers. They called it the human infection. The order was clear. Quarantine and terminate any source of contamination. Virel read the message alone in her chamber. Her hands clenched, her breathing fast. For the first time in her life, she felt fear. Not for herself, but for Elena. She rushed to the lab, deactivating cameras and locking doors. Elena looked up as Virel entered. What happened? They know, Virel said, voice shaking. They think you infected us with emotion. They will come for you. Elena's eyes softened. Maybe they're right, she said quietly. Maybe that's what the universe needs. Virel turned away, pacing. You don't understand. They'll destroy the entire ship to stop this. Then run, Elena said firmly. You have a choice. Keep obeying them or finally feel something worth dying for. Virel froze, her cold mind battling her burning heart. The word choice echoed in her thoughts. Threxians never had choices, and they had orders, protocols, logic, but now she wanted to choose not because of duty but because of her. The alarms blared suddenly. Red lights filled the corridors. Containment breach, the system announced. Council enforcers inbound. Rin appeared at the door, breathing hard. Commander? They're here. They will destroy the human and erase us all. Virel looked at him, expecting betrayal. But instead, Rin's black eyes flickered blue. Just like hers, he whispered. I don't know why, but I care. We have to protect her. Without another word, Virel slammed the emergency release. The glass cell opened, and Elena stumbled forward, blinking. You're freeing me? She asked, surprised. Yes, Viral said. I don't care what they call it, infection or not. It's life. The three of them ran through the ship's metallic halls as alarms echoed. Enforcers in dark armor stormed the corridors, firing stun rays. Viral grabbed Elena's arm and pulled her into a side passage. Energy bolts exploded around them, sparks raining from the ceiling. Rin was hit once, falling to his knees. Go, he shouted. I'll slow them down. Viral hesitated, emotion tightening her chest. Rin smiled weakly. This is what it means, isn't it? To feel something worth fighting for. She nodded once, voice breaking. Thank you, brother. They reached the shuttle bay through the windows. The blackness of space glowed with the red light of approaching warships. Elena climbed into the small escape vessel, Viral following close behind as they lifted off. Explosions rocked the main ship. The Council's purge had begun. From the viewport, Viral watched her vessel burn, thousands of Threxians screaming in confusion as emotion flooded their neural cores. The infection had spread beyond control. Love, grief, joy. Emotions reborn in a species that had forgotten them. Elena placed a hand on Viral's trembling one. It's not an infection, she said softly. It's awakening. Viral turned to her, eyes glowing faintly blue with tears. Then I'll carry it to the rest of my kind, she said. Even if it kills me. As the shuttle vanished into the stars, the Threxian fleet collapsed into chaos behind them, and in the heart of that chaos, the impossible had happened. The first Threxian tier had fallen. The small escape ship drifted among broken asteroids, its engines barely alive. The stars outside were quiet, endless, and cold. Viral sat near the front console, her silver hands gripping the controls. Elena rested in the co-pilot seat, weak and pale, her eyes heavy from exhaustion. For days they had flown with no destination, hiding from Threxian patrols inside the small ship. Silence filled every corner, but between them, something invisible connected, something warm. Viral could still feel the faint echo of Elena's emotions in her mind. Love, pain, courage, hope. It pulsed like a heartbeat inside her. They finally landed on a ruined world, and once a human colony. Now nothing more than burned buildings and silent fields of dust. Elena stepped out first, her boots sinking into the ash. This place, she whispered. It used to be alive. Viral looked around, scanning with her visor. Destroyed during the First War with your kind. The Council called it a cleansing. Elena turned to her sharply. Cleansing? You murdered millions. Viral lowered her head. Shame burning in her chest, an emotion she had no name for before. I didn't understand what life meant then, she said softly. Now I do. They built a small shelter inside an abandoned human dome. Using old power cells for light, days turned into weeks. And something strange began happening to Viral. Her body changed. Her once metallic skin gained a faint warmth. Her eyes glowed brighter, blue like Earth's sky. At night, when she slept, she dreamed. Threxians did not dream one night. Elena found Viral sitting near the fire, staring at her reflection in a cracked mirror. Your body's changing, Elena said gently. Viral nodded slowly. The human neural link rewrote parts of me. I feel warmth, heartbeat, even hunger. I'm becoming something new. Elena smiled faintly. You're becoming alive. Viral looked at her, eyes glowing softly. If being alive feels like this, I never want to go back, but peace never lasted long. A warning beacon blinked across the sky. Threxian signatures inbound. Dozens of ships. They had found her. Viral activated her console, her voice tight with panic. They tracked my neural frequency. They're coming to erase us both. Elena stepped forward. Calm but determined. Then end it. You said their minds are linked through emotionless signals. You could send something stronger, human emotion. Viral froze. You mean broadcast the emotional link to all Threxians? It would destroy their control network. It could also destroy you, Elena said quietly. Your mind can't handle that much energy. Viral looked at her, then smiled, a real gentle smile. I'd rather die feeling love than live in emptiness. They began building the transmitter using the wreckage of old machines. Elena helped, connecting wires with trembling hands. Viral's voice was calm but heavy. Once the broadcast starts, it will reach every Threxian ship. Every mind connected to the hive, they will feel what I feel. Elena looked up. And what do you feel right now? Virel's eyes met hers, glowing bright blue. I feel you outside. Thunder rolled across the sky as the Threxian fleet entered orbit. Giant dark ships filled the heavens, glowing with red energy. Council fleet online, came the cold voice from above. Subject Virel is to be terminated. The human is to be erased. Virel took a deep breath. Her hands hovering over the control panel, Elena reached out, placing her hand over Virel's trembling one. You don't have to do this alone. Virel smiled, tears falling freely now. You gave me something my species lost long ago, a soul. As the countdown began, Virel's body started glowing, her neural circuits flaring with blue light. Elena's hand stayed on hers even as the energy crackled around them. The Threxian fleet fired. Beams of destruction rained toward the surface. But before they struck, the transmitter activated. A blinding wave of emotion burst from the planet, racing through space like a storm of light. It wasn't just data. It was feeling. Grief, love, laughter, courage, humanity itself. Every Threxian mind connected to the network suddenly felt. Commanders dropped their weapons. Soldiers screamed as memories and warmth filled their minds. The emotion spread faster than any virus. It was unstoppable. Inside the burning dome, Elena fell to the ground, her energy drained. Virel knelt beside her, her body half human, half alien, glowing like a dying star. Elena's voice was weak. Did it work? Virel looked up at the sky. The Threxian ships had stopped firing, drifting silently. Yes, she whispered. They're feeling everything. Elena smiled faintly. Then maybe there's hope for your kind. Virel held her close, tears falling onto Elena's face. You saved us all. Elena's eyes fluttered, her voice fading. We saved each other. As her words faded into silence, Virel felt something break inside her. But it wasn't emptiness, it was love, raw and real. Outside, the stars glowed brighter than ever before across the galaxy. Threxians wept for the first time in their history. And on that ruined world, one alien scientist held a human's hand as light consumed the sky. The storm of light faded slowly into the endless black of space. The Threxian fleet hung motionless above the ruined world. No longer firing, no longer obeying, their perfect formation had dissolved into silence. Inside the shattered dome, Virel knelt beside Elena's still body. The warmth of the human's hand had faded, yet the echo of her heartbeat remained inside Virel's mind. Tears slid down her silver-blue skin, glowing faintly as they fell to the ground. For a long moment, she didn't move. The world around her burned, but inside her there was peace. She could still feel the connection spreading across the stars. Every Threxian, soldier, worker, scientist, now felt emotion for the first time in their lives. The old network of logic and control had been replaced by something far stronger. The pulse of feeling. Above, on the flagship of the Threxian Council, the High Overseer clutched her chest. What is this sensation? She whispered, her cold voice trembling. One of her officers replied in shock. It's emotion, Commander, the human signal. It's inside all of us. The Overseer looked out the window at the burning world below. Her vision blurred as a tear, her first, rolled down her metallic face. Impossible, she said softly. We were gods of reason, and now we
feel. Virel lifted her head, watching the sky shimmer with blue light.
She spoke quietly. It's over, Elena. They can't go back now. A soft wind blew through the dome, carrying dust and memory. Virel closed her eyes and listened. She could hear faint whispers in her mind. Millions of Threxian voices whispering confusion, sorrow, wonder, and love. They were awakening. She carried Elena's body outside and laid her on the scorched ground beneath the strange red sky. Her voice trembled. You said emotions were life. You said they were our strength. Now your gift belongs to the stars. She pressed her hand against her chest, feeling her own heartbeat in that moment. She realized part of Elena lived inside her. Through the neural link, through the emotion, through love, the human's essence had merged with her own. Hours later, a Threxian shuttle landed nearby. From it stepped Rin, the assistant who once doubted her. His eyes now glowed blue, filled with emotion. He looked at her silently for a moment before kneeling beside Elena's body. She did this, he said quietly. She changed us all. Virel nodded, her voice heavy. The council will fall, but not by war. They will fall by feeling. Together, they built a small memorial out of the broken stones of the colony. Virel carved a symbol on the rock. half Threxian, half human, beneath it. She wrote in simple letters, "Here rests the first human who taught us how to feel." When night came, the stars above seemed brighter. As if the galaxy itself had awakened, Virel stood on the hilltop. The wind blowing through her hair, she activated her communicator, sending one final message into the Threxian network. "To my people, we were built without hearts, yet we found one in the humans we feared. They are not weak, they are not dangerous. They are the reason we now live. Protect them, learn from them, and never again call emotion a curse across the galaxy." Threxians listened in silence. Many wept, many smiled for the first time. Entire fleets lowered their weapons, factories stopped, and for the first time in centuries there was peace on the burned planet. Virel sat beside the grave as dawn rose over the horizon. The sunlight touched her face, warm and golden, something she had never felt before the human came into her life. She whispered, "You gave me everything, Elena. I'll carry you in every breath I take." As the light grew stronger, her body began to shimmer. The fusion of human and Threxian cells had changed her completely. Her form became luminous, half energy, half flesh, a bridge between two worlds. The wind carried her final words. "The galaxy will remember you. Human, the one who taught us to love." Moments later, she stepped into the rising light. Her body dissolved into millions of glowing fragments that scattered into the sky. Each fragment joined the signal still flowing through space. Each carried a spark of emotion, a spark of humanity. And so, wherever the Threxian traveled, in every mind, in every ship, in every heart that learned to feel, a part of her lived on. No longer a scientist, no longer an experiment, but a legend, the alien who loved a human and changed an entire galaxy. Far away on a distant human outpost, scientists picked up a faint transmission. It wasn't data. It wasn't a call for war. It was a heartbeat echo. Soft and human, the message repeated through static. Love is not a weakness, it's the beginning. The human scientists looked at one another in wonder. One of them whispered, "Who sent that?" Another smiled softly. Someone who finally understood what it means to be human. And high above, among the stars, a faint blue light pulsed once. Like a final tear falling across the universe, it was the last gift of Dr. Elena Carter and Virel of Threxia, the proof that even in the coldest parts of space, a single human heart could awaken an entire galaxy.